Oh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That dumb thing won't hold still. There we go, maybe. And hey, Jackson, Pearly Jackson, I guess. And greetings and blessings to all of you on this Saturday evening, uh, February the 6th, 2021. And I've had this as I want to greet you all with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. And I pray for those folks who are in desperate need. There are many folks out there. Um, so my heart is always out to those who can't maintain on their own or having difficulty. And it is a continuing prayer, not for just for those of us who are well and can walk around, but it's for those folks. And a good friend of mine um, is in the hospital again, and I don't want to go any further than that, but not doing too well. And so this is sort of a prayer out to her. And but the prayers haven't stopped. But anyway, it's just there are folks out there who really need our prayers. You may know them, and you may not. But anyway, in that though, I welcome all of you, Project Skyfalls. Um, cool beans, Jackson. Oh, Travis, the Brick. Hi, how are you? Um, I'm in my musings and mutterings and mulling around and stuff. Um, when I was on the other night with Robert V on Milky Way Soul Tribe, reading stories and discussing Native Americans, it's always sort of ingrained in me and on my mind, and it's not like I'm um, obsessing over it. It just is musings related to that. Because I don't feel the same relation to like studying the Egyptians or the Greek cultures. I've been through all that. But what keeps reoccurring for me is native traditions. So it's like, but hang on here. So a friend of mine stopped by yesterday and we were having a little discussion. And he said, my great grandmother was Cherokee, a full blood. And I was like, to my point, in that in generations past, there are so many people who consider themselves like white or or black African American, in that I've met so many people over the years who have great grandmother fathers who more times the grandmothers than grandfathers, but that because the men were killed off and the women were there were men either for ill or for not would take in a Native American and a woman, and they were called squaws. Now, don't ever call a Native American woman squaw, because that's like calling her a whore, bitch, prostitute, all rolled up into one. Do not ever refer to any Native American unless you're wishing to get a whooping. Refer to the reference of squaw, because to the natives that's fair. Now, to the point though. Okay, so after all this, and after this intermingling of blood types, my great grandmother, my great grandmother, and my grandmother all were Cherokee. Full blood, half blood, half blood. Okay. So his was, and on his father's side, there was lower Muskogee Creek Cherokee mix. So, and on his father's side, and then on his mother, so you look at this and you go, well, let's just hang on here a minute. So a lot of folks down here in South Georgia who considered themselves, white, aren't. We are a mixed breed, okay? And it has just been salted down over the years. But here's to the point of this. Back during, Andrew Jackson and the Trail of Tears and all that, everybody was put on reservations. The Cherokee were moved out. There were, the Trail of Tears down here in the South where the Creek and the Muskogee. And a lot of folks went down into Florida and became the Seminole Indians, and merged with them simply because, a lot of folks wouldn't go down into Florida. They were like, nah, it's too nasty down there. And so natives have always been able to figure out how to work with Mother Earth and thrive in their own way. So, but they were moved to these reservations. Now, down here in South Georgia, there is the Southern Band of Cherokees over near Fargo, over there. And just south of me in Cairo is the lower Muskogee Creek, Tama Indian Reservation down there. And there are small little communities, but then there are the big reservations where people were moved and where people live now, and Minnesota and out west and Pine Ridge. And, all you have to do is Google, Indian reservations, and you'll see where they are. Contained areas, sometimes in the worst, they gave the natives, the worst possible place. Now, Lens, as the title of this little chit chat here, and welcome y'all on Thursday, Saturday night. Hey, Teresa. Elder Barry, hi there. Travis, much love back to you, Teresa. We haven't chatted in a while. I know you're busy, and I hope everything's well in your world. Everybody's world, actually. But to the point, though, I was thinking, well, if we all have these little tinctures of native bloods in us, right? We are all at some point, many of us, I can't say all, but many of us who are native to to this nation have these backgrounds with the bloodlines of, some folks were French but didn't know it, but they mixed with the Indians back in the French and Indian Wars. And, there were Native women who all the men were killed. So they were taken in because of, the British, not so much, but the French, that French Quebec. So, they battered on for years up there, killing each other and the natives. And but here's the thing, that there was an intermingling. When you read histories about tribes, if another tribe was conquered, they didn't slaughter everybody. No, they, the women and the men and whoever, they were absorbed into that current tribe. Now, that I ain't saying that there might not have been a sacrifice or a killing or two. That's not my point. But in that, though, you read the literature from white people, okay, and how they observe that when one tribe goes down and others more, they are absorbed into the winning tribe. Yes, some of the women and the men are created as slaves, but after so many years or whatever the time length is, if you're a good soldier, then you're you have proven yourself to be one of them, okay, accepted into their society. But they still feed you, and they still, but here's to the point of this. So, after all these centuries now, after white man and the Spaniards first set foot on Turtle Island, we had not been infested with terrible thoughts. There were those, but most of the nations of native peoples weren't out to take over the world. They were considerate in their own areas. They had peaceable trade routes. I mean, there's a trade route right near me that from all the way up in Connecticut, all the way down to Panacea, Florida. And well traveled, well known for many, many, many years, long before men got here. There's even evidence that the Egyptians had made it here 2,000 years ago. Yes, the planet was different. But to the point, though, many of those things have been destroyed. And there were videos years ago, 15, 20 years ago, about these strange coming out of the mouth of the Mississippi River. They were like little monoliths, and they had all these weird hieroglyphs and stuff on them. And somebody told them to go in there, and they were all taken out. But many of the old fishermen and so forth, because they used them as landmarks, right? And so did the Egyptians. But anyway, besides all that, until the white man showed up and started intermingling with us and forcing their will on us, the natives, all of them were put on some type of notice reservation. They never liked the red man. They kind of got along with the Cherokee up to the point, and then when Andrew Jackson said, "Ship them all out," where they're going, no, we're shipping them out to Oklahoma, where there are reservations and out around Norman, Oklahoma, a lot of Cherokee out there. And so, but what about the other nations? So as they moved west, they conquered, did this. What they do? Put them on reservations. Now, if you think about our current situation right now, today, our present situation, we are all Native Americans, okay? We are all native to this continent, those of us who were born here. And my ancestors, my mother and father, their mother and father, their mother and father, dating all the way back, in my case, possibly, way back. So, but here's the trick of this. If you look at what some folks are trying to do, they're trying, and I think they put each one of us on our own personal reservation. Keep an eye on you. We know what you're buying. We know what you're doing. Think about it. And I thought about it over the last couple of days, especially after Robert and I had talked. And I was like, yeah. And then today, seeing some more news and stuff about how much control they want. Think of this. We are, every single one of us, a native to this country. And what did they do to the natives when they wanted to take over, etc.? They put them on reservations. They're still there. The On many of the reservations, and because they're Indian, they can't move into town because nobody will rent to them. I mean, the conditions are horrible. Okay, they live in block houses with very little heat in North and South Dakota and in the plains, and now further south. But to the point, though, these folks are living with next to nothing. There is no Starbucks. There is no Wendy's or McDonald's. There is no Chinese restaurant down the road. One of the mamas have got, is making a batch of, I can't think of it now. But anyway, when we'd get together and there wasn't possibly enough food to go around, everybody contributed a can of something and they made a stew. Some would call it a hobo stew. Some would call it a this, but it didn't matter. Anyone who was hungry, and if you didn't have anything to contribute, it was okay. But in the tradition, then if you didn't have something physical to add to the pot, and it could be salt, it could be a little bit of flavoring. So that if you didn't have any food per se, then you would give your time to help cook it, help serve it, or something. So in these times, consider us, all of us Native Americans, all of us native to this earth in this particular continent of North America. We are the Native Americans, and we're being treated exactly like our forefathers were. Because I bet you, 90% of it who are born here in the United States, with at least one or two generations back, is going to have a little bit of some kind of Indian in them. It might only be a drop, not my point, in that we are all native to this United States. Right now, it's a little, but to Turtle Island, okay? And so consider your where you are on your reservation. Consider how you're being locked in, blocked in, or otherwise told, you know? So I was thinking about how bad many friends of mine who um, I don't know if they're still alive, but lived out there on Pine Ridge, um, down there in South Dakota and up there in South Dakota. But anyway, I was thinking down south anyway. But to the point though, on this, we are all right now, every single one of us, in the same boat. Whether you want to believe you got any native blood in you or not, doesn't matter. If you were born in the United States, your parents were born here, then you're from here. And we're native of this place. Consider how the natives were treated then and consider how we're being treated now. Is there much of a difference? It was then and this is now, but they're putting us all into prisons. They're putting us all into little groups. They're making sure we're all pissed at one another. Nobody knows which side's up and which is down. Men can become women, and women, they, are just who they are. There's no argument. Well, I'm a girl. I want to go play with the boys' basketball team. None of the guys are going to say a word. But, the other side is just not, that's just not right. It ain't natural. And the fact that the few people want to force all of us to think the way that they do is just wrong. Because within a tribe of peoples, the people decide whether or not they wish to do this. If they want to let some girl in with the guys run or ride horses or race, they would let them if they were qualified. But at the same time, that the women would not say, nah, those guys, we're not letting the Braves run with us. No, they can, but if they win, it don't count because it's a women's race, right? So we have to look at things practical, but understand this: any chief of any nation, a chief would say this: we've got this really peculiar guy out there on the outskirts, but he's still part of our tribe, and we will accept him for who he is. But if he wants to mess around and goof with us, he stays over there, okay? He's still included. He can still participate. But if he gets wacky, he's going to his wigwam over there. Now consider this. Have all been put in our wigwams and told to stay there. We have been put on notice that we are all in our own personal reservation. Consider how the native peoples, more native than you and me, are being treated within the United States of America. They are third world countries. We will give money to Afghanistan and all them poor people when we won't even take care of the native populations before us that are still here and struggling. And how many times they got screwed over. Now, I understand many black friends. I understand this Black Lives Matter stuff up to a point. But what about Native Lives Matter? The treatment that these people are still receiving after centuries, okay, of slavery and abuse and of murder and of almost being physically wiped off the face of this nation of ours. Black people were in slavery, but they got emancipated. The Native American has never been emancipated. They are in their own little group, and yet now some of them would like to stay there because it was, the whole United States was there before, the white man moved in. But at the same point, because it's a reservation, no federal funds can be spent. Oh, well, we'll send them overseas somewhere, but we won't help the native peoples in our own boundaries of this continent. It's sad, it's boring, and understand this: if you feel like you're locked up right now, I'm a little fiery about this, but if you feel like you're locked up right now, think about what the true, real, honest to God Native Americans went through. And for the black people who want to bitch about not having opportunities, you go visit where the Native Americans are living now. And you talk about South Chicago and all this, there's Ybor City and around there, 22nd Street in Tampa. It's some bad conditions, but they're bad because the people won't do anything about it. But the folks who are on native soil have been on native soil, sacred soil to them. All soil is sacred to them, by the way. But if for some reason, they're within the borders of the United States and also their reservation, they're a third world country. No money goes in or out. Oh, well, it comes out, but, jobs are scarce. People are hungry. And, but consider this. We are the native peoples now, and consider their plight still going on. I'm not against blacks having, or Mexicans or anybody else having a hand up. But if you think that you are the ones who were really crapped on, you should really look at the Native Americans and see that they're still being crapped on. And because you and I are Native Americans, we're getting crapped on too. Pay attention. Now, this is not supposed to be a long video. It's more of a little bit of an irate rant in a way. But we are on the reservation, folks. Just look around. I'm not trying to be negative, Nelly, or nothing. I was looking outside. I'm going, I'm glad I have more. Jody, how are you? I want to know. Judy, sorry, I don't have my glasses on. But the idea, though, that I've got 18 acres and it's my little reservation, there are people that only have a half an acre of land, and that's all they have as far as their reservation. Some people live in an apartment. That's their reservation. Some people are, you get my point. So this is sort of not necessarily a warning, but a wake up. And it's like, people are like, well, we'll go along with this. Look how many treaties that many of the whites are still breaking with the Indian. Look how many treaties they broke. Look how many thousands and possibly millions of native peoples were wiped out, sent off, turned into slaves, and never given emancipation, by the way. Never recognized by a president to say, hey, y'all are free, come on down. No, instead, Jackson sent them all, on the Trail of Tears and moved them all, to a convenient location. So it's like, but like I said, understand this, those people who are in charge right now, the really weird ones up yonder, wherever they are, have the same feeling towards you and I, because we are the native peoples. We have been mixed with other things. We're not the blue bloods, y'all. And they look at us as just a quarter of an individual, Well, he's got mixed blood down there, he don't really count. And the person over there, mixed blood don't really count. Ooh, now this person over here has been the Ivy League and all this, they count because they come from true blood, right? Well, the warning that I was getting this afternoon is like, just tell everybody, in this moment to look around, and do you feel like you're a Native American? I mean, Native, but also in my talks and discussions about Native peoples, are you getting the feeling like maybe you're being treated in a similar way? The parallels of some of this, 150 years later, consider the 1880s, right? So 150 years ago, roughly, we're repeating things. They're still picking on, quote, guess who? The Native Americans. They took blankets that were, had bubonic plague and dysentery, and gave it to the Indians so that they would get sick. Yes. They did those kinds of things on purpose to emaciate them and kill them all off so they were manageable. We're the native peoples now. Get out your bow and arrows, because you can't hear an arrow coming like you can a gun. Now, what do they want to do with guns? They got a bill that's being introduced that you're supposed to register your gun again Tell them where it's located in your home, how many bullets and clips you have, and then they will tax you on that. Are you serious? Now I can't own a gun because they made me a felon. And so felons can't own firearms. Well, I got a 22 air rifle, but it's an air rifle. All they're going to hear is a if I can get it running again. But an arrow is really easy to load and shoot, and you don't hear those coming. But not that I want to harm anyone, I don't. But if somebody's going to make it their mission to kill me, I'm going to take one of them out. I'm going to take somebody's going to get hurt. I'm just not going to stand there and go, okay, kill me. Nope. I'm going to take somebody down simply because, an eye for an eye. You take me, you're going with me, bud. I wouldn't want to go out and massacre, murder anybody else. No, you come at me, then you're going to take one on one. Then I'm going to do my best to take you with me. That's all, or survive and you go first. But I don't want to be a violent person, but I will defend myself to the death. There, we have that right? Now, the pacifist would just say, just go ahead and shoot me. I'm a pacifist up to a point. If you want to do me physical bodily harm or one of my members of the family or something, then there's going to be a fight to the death, or at least until you give the fuck up. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my mouth from being dirty. But in this, though, my little message from the universe today was just explain to anybody who will listen that we are the native peoples of the United States. That's us, you and me, and your family, your friends. If they were born here, it's us. Consider what they did to the other Native Americans and just ponder on that. That's all. That's the message for today. Be strong. There's still a lot of crazy weirdness going out there. I got to put wood in the heater that's wet. It's 8:18. Look, we got 2 minutes and it's going to be 4:20 somewhere. So any of y'all that can, hi, Deborah Truax, Judy, hello, Project Sky Falls, Elder Barry, 1 hour and 5 minutes. Sirens like mad here, running all over. That's crazy. Multitasking, every boss's nightmare. Oh yeah, I love I used to love multitasking. Yep. Back when if anybody has ever really done live radio like we used to do back in the day, you had, and I don't mean CDs, I mean records. You had to cue them, you had to do this. You got all these commercials on what they call a cart that goes into a machine, much like a quick eject tape deck, right? A lot of them look like similar to old 8-track cassette, tapes. And basic format, plug them in, pull them out, and there'd be a commercial or two on one of them. But anyway, but on this Saturday evening, we're getting a lot more rain down here in the south. Well, it's only going to be 1/3 of an inch. It's already been over an inch. So, and we got more rain coming. And the backyard's already got a lot of water in it. Plus, we're getting more. And the river was up to 14 foot here, which 15 is the flood stage. So it was just a foot below flood stage. I mean, full flood. 14 foot floods a lot of places, let me tell you. And why they picked 15, I think, is because of what it has to do with the road and the bridge there where the gauge is. But anyway, yeah, the bridge is actually higher than flood stage. So the road on either side of the bridge will flood. So you can't get over the bridge, which will keep most people from going over. But anyway, so me and Doug I think he wants to go with me. I want to get on the river so bad, but it's like a 10 foot. So it needs to get down about 6 or 7 before it's like let me go down to the river and let's go paddling. Um, Especially with a dog. But it's also a little too chilly at the moment to just go splashing around in the water for me. And I was gonna, go out and look for firewood, and it all got wet. Oh my God! It's 8:21. We missed it. It's 4:20 somewhere. Now I know there are other shows and stuff coming on tonight, and I don't want to interfere with anybody else's previous plans. But I wanted to send as many blessings as I could out to people. There's been good information come in, and there's been some sad information come in, but it can't always be great. But the prayers are always there for folks. My good buddy John, that sent me my necklace and that big crystal that I talked about, he called me yesterday and touched base with me, and he's like, I'm always thinking about you, Pops. Yeah, that's what he calls me, and which is fine with me. Having no being no relation to him, but he was like, "Yeah, Pops, I still love you, and that's why I sent you that stuff." And it was like, so in the universe for me, are my prayers getting through to people? Are they being heard? And he was like, "I hear you, Pops. I know, I want to get out there, but he's an EMT, and he said we've just been so busy, picking people up and taking folks and this and that. He said it's just been." A nightmare. So and it was interesting. He said, I've had my vax, and he said, and so far I've not had any adverse reactions to it, which was like, I've had my shot but I haven't gotten sick or so far. So there are people, like I've said, that I know within the profession that have talked about this. I got my shot, but I'm looking. I'm see if I'm going to get sick or if any of my friends do. So these folks have been the guinea pigs. But I knew what he was saying when he was I could hear the radio in the background, so he was monitoring calls. But as an EMT here in Colquitt County, I continue to pray for his service that he continues to do for people, and life and limb and everything. So John, if you watch this, I love you. And that hey Cherry, how are you? Did I get that right? Yeah. Isby, how are you? So yes, I have people who are directly involved with what's going on, and yes, they put their life on the line all the time, and yes, I pray for them and continue to pray. And what's even more astounding to me is that my prayers are being heard. And I got John on the mind right now, so it's like, all right, Big John, if you're listening, I'm talking about you. He's probably scratching his ear, going, "Is that Pops?" But going forward with all of these things, that whatever we're going to face, remember, we are the Native Americans here. We have the right, because we were born here, to at least exist here on a natural basis, not an unnatural basis. But so, of all the things that would be my message for the day, if there really is one, is understand, you know, and stand your ground, at least as far as you can, or as far as you're willing. But at the same time, don't go stir shit up. Stand your ground. And there are people like, oh my God, it was so great on the news the other day. There, somebody was in a grocery store down in Naples, Florida. Maybe you would have seen it. And they're walking around and they're showing this. And the person who's doing the videotaping is one of them really sure enough scaredy cat folkses. Hey, Ed, how are you? So it was like, nobody or hardly anybody in the store, Florida, in Naples, Florida, down south of Sarasota area, nobody in the store had a mask on. And everybody was just going about their business, right? And the caption was, look at all these people, who are, so, could be passing around the virus and nobody's got a mask on. And with this idea, these kind of people, and it's like, mm, they do that around here too, but a few more masks, but nobody really is, you know, at least in the smaller towns around here, we're all like, we're locals, right? We're natives. Not to say that folks don't get sick now. That is not my point. But I told my friend yesterday, he said, well, I've been around a lot of other people. And he said, I may have the COVID. I might be a carrier. He said, I'm not sick or nothing, but I don't mean, right? And I said, I don't care. I would rather get it. And if I died by, or just get, I would rather, I have been through so many flu systems in my lifetime. What's one more? I'm as healthy as I'm going to get at my age. And so, all right, but I'm not getting a shot to get it. I've already been through that with other vaccinations, and every one of them made me ill. So if it's God's will that I get the snivels or sneakers or whatever, then let me fend it off. And if I make it to the other side, there you go. I'll take my chances. And other people are going, look, living life this way. And so, the people down in Naples, Florida, and the news trying to like really make them look like evil people down there, mingling and buying. They were buying groceries without their mask on, and people are just acting normal. And I would just laugh at it. I was like, it's not quite the same here, but almost, you know. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I used to have relatives that lived down in that area, and I'm glad those people got a little bit of smarts. The whole state of Florida has got a different point of view than the rest of us. But even the state of Georgia, when they passed that law about if you go into a place, no one can be held responsible if you get sick. Okay, fine. And so nobody's really bitching about a mask or not, because the sign is you enter at your own risk. So mask or not, you can't tell me to put a mask on because I'm entering at my own risk, and so are you. You want to wait till I leave? Okay. But the sign says enter at your own risk. And so people are just going in and out. A couple of people got a mask on, looking at everybody else, don't know their physical condition though. But a friend of mine, supposedly, I say supposedly, I think has COVID, but was in a nursing home when she got it. So, was already ill, and we're praying for her. So I'm still praying for her. And there really isn't a whole lot more I can do other than just pray for her. But I have friends who are closer to her than I could ever get, to check and see if she's okay. So um, there are folks on the watch, if you know what I mean. But so I'm not taking this thing lightly. People say, well, you just don't really care. In a way, that's true. Because after a year of being fed fear and frailty and death and destruction, and it's like, I'm just ready to go, okay, get it over with. Well, I need to get to the store, but there's a land that they put landmines in the field. All right, well, I'm going to be real careful, and I'm going to mark where I step. So when I come back, I don't know where to go back to, right? I'm just not going to head across the field and not pay attention, right? But after a while, if I'm hungry enough or whatever, I'm going to say, screw the minefield. I'm going to die one way or the other, but I'm going to take my chances, mark my way, and I'm going to, because I am a native to this land, and, I have the right, you know, as a citizen of the state of Georgia, I have the right on Georgia public lands. I can be on the river. I can go do this. And because I have a fishing license and a hunting senior thing, I have the right to do even more than that with the state's permission and blessing. Okay. So now, not only as just a citizen can I go to all these public places, but now because I paid my dues to the DNR, that I can go fishing and hunting and camping in state reserves, more so than just the regular person. But so there, I have access to all these places around here, and I got my little license. I have my number. I paid my dues. So if if we consider that, whatever state you live in now, up north and some of them states, I'm not too sure of, but we folk down here understand that. And some some of these rednecks down here take it a little too far, like, um I live here, I can do what I want down here on the river, and I can leave beer cans and have a big party and not clean up after myself. And that's just rudeness. It ain't got nothing to do from where you live. Something just whizzed by. Wow. Ain't nothing in here to whiz by. It's too cold. That's interesting. Spiritually, it feels like there's a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, but with this though, and having y'all here with me, just as a thought that I've already put in our brains is, you want to, and consider this. The research that I did and the people that I've met who had their grandmothers who were on the Trail of Tears and had just passed. Now this has been 20 years ago, mind you, but that they had heard the stories firsthand from their grandmother. And sometimes great grandmother. I mean, some of them folks lived into their 90s. So it's easy to say, well, I was on the Trail of Tears. I was a survivor of the Trail of Tears. And there are people down here, not so many anymore, but because it's been 25 years later. But when I met them at some of these powwows and stuff, they remembered the eradication of the Creek and the Southern Cherokee tribes, and that they were just, they were just moved off their land. They'd show up and say, adios, out of here. So we think about the Japanese internment camps, maybe not enough, during the World War II, and how many of those families lost everything they had and were put into concentration camps, to protect us from them, right? And so we've all heard about the FEMA camps, but consider this. They keep wanting to drill this out of me. Consider that we're already on the reservation because of the restrictions that they have put on us personally, or that they're trying to, present to us all the time. So how do we say no to it? Well, the people in Naples, Florida have pretty much done this to the rest of the United States. Screw it. We're going to act normal down here. Y'all can be crazy up there if you want to, but we're just going to, the governor of Florida's opened places up and none of us are really getting sick. And it seems like it's pretty much over for us down here, and the numbers are down. And the more that people are healthy, the more that people are, doing their normal things again instead of being scared to death all the time, makes them healthier. So remember, we are the native peoples. Don't let them put it. I'm already on my own little reservation up to a point. Of course, I would go somewhere if my truck would run, but that's a separate issue. Uh, Send a tiny little prayer out there, y'all, that I can find out what's wrong with my truck easily enough. Anyway, but it's too wet to go out and mess with it now. All right. Jerry, you can't be outside here without a mask. I don't put one on in my yard, but I've seen people driving with nobody with them or jogging on an empty road with a mask on. Yep, it. Deborah says same there. Riding bikes too around here. Isby, you still down in Daytona? You're part Seneca? Good. I'm honored to you and your family. The mask does help keep people aware that it's stupid to wear them. There's all of the science says, nah, unless you're in a hospital or something, and even this, and even then. But the people I know, the doctor that has looked after me, it's like a mosquito going through a chain link fence, okay, as far as a bug zapper. And so, what is more important is that you wash your hands, okay? And it doesn't mean keep them, antiseptic clean. If you've been somewhere and touched some stuff, I used vinegar, okay? I got it in a little squirt bottle in the truck. I'd come out of the store and I washed my hands with vinegar, okay? And I smell like a salad till I get home, kind of thing. But this idea of there are so many natural things that will help to quote and be an antiseptic. But if you honestly think that the mask is doing you good, okie dokie. But honestly, it really honestly isn't. And the fact that they're trying to put three of them on us, Fauci, well, if one will do, then two. Oh, I used to work in manufacturing, as I've told you all, and working in a paint shop with them ones with the big canisters on them. And let me tell you, none of the fumes ever stay out of the mask. I had to quit my job because they wouldn't move me out of the paint department. I could not deal with the fumes. Okay, I mean I was already high enough as it was, but I mean, I'd get a whiff of this stuff and off into loony land I would go, have seizures, drool, all that kind of stuff. Not good for me. And there are other people that could go back there and spray that stuff on them airplanes all day long and not even, barely have a mask on. Not me. So as I was wearing these big old, sure enough masks for painting and stuff like that, the heavy duty stuff, it's so hard to breathe in them. And that what you do breathe in, I've still got the fumes. It only kept out the larger particles. So, this idea, unless you worked around masks and stuff, I guess, people say, oh, it's going to do me some good. It really isn't. It really, honest to God, isn't. You're only doing it to placate other people around you. That's all. Now, if you really think it's doing you some good, what's going to do you some good is just don't go around people if you're that scared. And I just tell people, give me a hug. If you got it, let me get it. I want to get it over with. But everybody's different. Everybody's different. I get that. I understand it and I respect it. So, but the overthinking of things. I mean, I knew about masks in the 80s, okay, and about what they would do to your lungs. And as a grinder and a person who worked in that, we had to have special training because we were wearing a mask in the 80s, okay, in a manufacturing setting. And it talked all about the particle size and all about the breathing and all what it would do to your lungs, because you have to breathe harder to push in and out. And if there's any dust on the mask when you breathe in, you're going to huff it in twice as easy. It's really not good. And these are dust particles, okay? Like talcum powder kind of thing. But if talcum powder will go through a mask, the virus is there. So, but anyway, the science of masks goes way beyond the virus. It has to do with particulates. That's why they have so many micron on them. You know, you will not be able to breathe if you get one that's so. You know, how are you going to get air through? Duh. You know. So, not to be stupid or anything, but I had to use formaldehyde dip dyes at a flower shop. Oh my God, formaldehyde. Oh, woo. Oh man, it's whew. Oh, I have been around formaldehyde. My city, the bars stay full mask optional. Janesville, Wisconsin. Good, good. Pearly girl, Pearl. Hey, Ian, how you doing? I'd love to hear to talk about these things. Um, Part Seneca. Cherry, let's wait. Cherry, where I'm trying to remember where the Seneca. I want to say that they were up in the Northeast. Is that right? Yeah, and folks, let me tell you something. I quit using bleach years ago because of the vapors and what it did to me. And it anytime I go into a bathroom where somebody has used a lot of chlorine, chlor think of this chlorine gas. Don't look up Clorox. Type into your little browser chlorine gas. Now, so you open a bottle of Clorox, and what is coming off? Chlorine vapors, which is a what? Vapors are a, come on, science nerds, a gas. I'm being, this isn't to you, it's to the world. So all these people are affecting themselves with chlorine gas every time they, a lot of places have stopped using chlorine because it was making people sick. So guess what they're using? Ammonia, which is natural. Okay, I bet you've heard me discuss it before, but if you have a septic tank and you use chlorine, stop it. It kills all the bacteria and everything that make your the digester inside the septic tank to work properly. Period. I know this because as soon as I stopped using uh, chlorine in my um, toilets and that kind of thing, my septic tank started working again. It actually processed the poo and turned it into slurry the way it's supposed to, the way it's supposed to work. So septic tanks aren't supposed to fill up, okay? They're supposed to digest and turn into an effluent, a water that goes down the drain field and out in and spreads into the yard or whatever. Now, if there's a lot of it over time, yes, it can. But if it works properly, it should never have to be emptied unless you kill the bacteria and stuff inside the septic tank. So I haven't had any of those kind of issues in a long time because I quit doing that to my septic tank. Now there are a lot of different kinds of ammonia bleaches or cleaners, and there was a friend of mine. One of these days, I think it might be on this little hard drive actually, about how they used to take a teaspoon of regular ammonia, no soap or anything in it, just ammonia, into a glass of water, okay, and stir it up and drink it, get rid of a headache. Now you say, why'd you, wait a minute, what would you, what? Well, consider this. Does anybody know what's in a, uh, you know, if somebody passes out smelling salts, it's ammonia. So if you pass out, what's the first thing they do? They give you boom, break the little thing. We used to have them, right? Break them, little pieces of glass thing in the tube, and you break them under your nose, go like this, and it wakes you up. Ammonia will open up this. If you don't want to drink it, just go. You got a headache. You need to open up the blood vessels in your head and everything, and just go get a whiff of the bottle. I've done it. In fact, I should go do it right now. But as far as the vapors of it will get in to help open up your sinuses and so forth. So, but anyway, um, I just wanted to get on here this evening. I may be on here later on. I got to go get keep my fire from going out. Um, I'm pretty healthy, miracle after all. Yep. Um, Yeah, I do a lot of upstate Adirondacks. Okay, that's what I thought. It was up there. I've met some Seneca back and some Iroquois, and there's another tribe up. I mean, Delaware. I was surprised this guy, and he was like, "Man, I'm a card carrying Indian," and he was more white than I am, red hair, and he was like, we're all like this, you know. But if you think about it, if the Vikings came into the Northeast the way they said they did all them years ago, then some of them redheaded Indians they're still native, by the way, um, could have had ancestors though that were Vikings. Very, I mean, you talk about flaming red hair, the whole families, the whole tribes of folk, red hair, but the Delaware. Not saying that all of Delaware. I'm just saying in this particular group of folks, they were all redheads. No, Isby, I'm going to shut off because there are some other things scheduled tonight. 10 o'clock with Milky Way, Soul Tribe, and some other things. So I just wanted to come on and talk about this right now. I had no intentions of staying long, honestly, honestly, honestly. But not to say that I won't come back on. It's just not now. I want to go get supper. It's cooled down enough, and I need to go get some more wood before it's starting to rain again, and so I need to do chores. So, but I love you, and I hope you understand what I mean. That we are all natives here. I love you, I do, and they pester me to the point where I interrupt my supper to give you these messages. You know, I got a half empty bowl over here. I've got to go warm up now. But anyway, until next time, my friends, be safe and understand the bigger picture of what some of these folks want for us and how there are still native people suffering right this minute. And I don't mean just on their reservations, I mean across this continent. So, do we care for our brothers and sisters? I think we do. And I know that we do as much as we can. But of all the things we can continue to do that doesn't cost us anything but a little time is to say a prayer for all these folks and to pray that the white hats will still keep that the promise will be kept. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Each and every day, even though it's soggy and wet on my feet, I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and oh, yeah, the blessings from the universe. And in that law of three, which just tickles me, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn, to accept, receive, and to share that knowledge and the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Keep up the good work, everybody. I will try to be back on later on after 11ish, maybe 11:30 or 12. They're prompting me to do a card reading. Okay, so but I'm going to go get something to eat and do my chores and see how I feel. But if not, stay warm. I'm going to be in and out of the rain, and it's like 45-degree and just yuck. Dripping rain and, you know, yuck. Oh, but just as an aside, on the weather tonight, they're saying, in a couple of days, we might actually get snow flurries down here in South Georgia. And I was like, what? I was just talking about that the other day. I said, once in a while, a low will come in, and they were saying the conditions might be right for us to get snow this, and this coming week. Like, what? That was just interesting that I was talking about it. That it's been a while since we've had any snow flurries in the area. Now they're like talking about snow flurries in the area next week. Anyway, I love you all. Yeah, it's global warming, don't you know? Oh, hey, Colben. How are you? Um, Thank you. Ciao for now to you as well, Ian. I missed you there, I think. But with all that said, I never ask that you all pray for me. There are those instances, because I already feel like I'm getting enough from y'all already just because you show up. You just finished supper. I'm going back. That'll be something to see. When I was in Georgia, they all thought frost was snow. Yeah, that's crazy. You know, I'm in really South Georgia. I'm like 50, 60 miles from the Florida border, depending on where I'm at. But yeah, have a wonderful night. And they're really pushing me to do a card reading for some reason later on tonight. So, you know, if I'm awake, I'm gonna go do my chores and that kind of thing. And if I'm not just snuggled up with Tugger on the couch because I got cold. But anyway, I love you all till next time. Cheers. And y'all be safe and do the best you can. I know you are, but when you start to when you start to feel fragile, there are a lot of fragile souls out there right now. At least be strong within yourself. I was in Jesus Pooler, Hinesville, in Georgia. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know where that is. So, everybody, Jessup. Well, Jesus is supposed to live in Jessup. I know some people from Jessup, Deborah. as so as some of them, were thought they were gods. So that's an inside joke. But and if you were very long in Jessup, you probably and you know what? Here's the interesting thing. I know I'm supposed to go, but the interesting thing about Jessup was it wasn't the locals who thought they were gods. It was people. It was the damn carpetbaggers that moved from the north down to the south. That like, whoa, I'm from the north and I'm so good, and all the southerners like, shut up. You know, um, they still feel that way to a lot of northerners. And having grown up in the north at least till I was 7, I still look at northerners with contempt. Because it's like no, you have to live down here and understand. And then you move down here. Well, I'm from New York City. We'll go to back. We didn't ask you to come down here. We didn't ask you to bring your point of view. We didn't ask you to bring your nasty ass attitude down here. Go home. Well, but I don't like New York City anymore. Well, okay then. Shut up and learn how to be a southerner. you know and the only way you can learn to be a southerner is by observation and participation, not by running your big loud ass carpetbagger bag hole on trying to tell the rest of us how to. There are still carpetbaggers, I'm telling you. It's horrible. And for us southerners down here, Atlanta has become the north. you know there are times when I'm seriously, you know there's division in Macon. I think Macon would actually be the new capital of Georgia, or maybe Savannah, or maybe even Columbus, where Fort Benning is. But Lord knows they're from Macon south, and there's some a little further north than that. But in other words, south of Atlanta, we don't give two rats patoots about what them folk in Atlanta give, right? And when you notice the votes this year, for example, all down here in the South, it was all red, 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 and only a couple of counties in Atlanta. But them folks in Atlanta want to run the rest of us, and they don't even know how we live down here, or pay attention to, community, this and that. A lot of us go to Atlanta for quote culture, but Atlanta has become the carpetbaggers for the state of Georgia, and for anybody south of Macon and south, it's like y'all go away, go back north. We don't want you. They like to take their money to open their businesses, but then when the businesses take over and it's no longer a Southern tradition or a Southern, it loses all value in many people's minds. So, but anyway, I done said my prayers. Colvin, everybody. Ed, oh, minus 30 now. Holy crap. Okay, y'all take care, and let me get off so other people can get on. I know it gets crowded in the evenings around this time on a Saturday. So I love you all. Take care. Stay warm, stay dry, and TTFN. Ta ta for now. Cheers. Till next time. Adios.